Hi, thank you all for being here. My name is Cheryl Dorchinsky. I am the Executive Founding Director of Atlanta Israel Coalition. Welcome to our wonderful awards, the Impact Award. This year we have started. The honoree is Kay Wilson, who is definitely somebody who is very worthy of this award. She wrote an absolutely powerful book, The Rage Less Traveled, and the courage and strength and the absolute honesty in this book is like nothing I've personally ever seen. We spoke to people all over the world, and it was unanimous that she definitely deserved this honor. Kay, are you there?
I am.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine, believe you me.
We're also here with some guests, as you know. And we want to basically thank you because 2 years ago you came to Atlanta. You helped us. Basically, the first event we ever had was with you. And you were talking about this book, which we didn't know how you were going to publish it, what you were going to do, or really what it was going to be about. So how was it writing this really inspiring, powerful novel?
It was hell on earth. It was just the worst thing I've ever done in my life, apart from nearly getting murdered. It was very difficult to sort things out in a narrative that would make the book interesting, a page turner, not flooding it with too many details, so it comes out like, you know, Truman Capote. And then there was things like, look, I have to say the bulk of the work I did in trauma therapy, meaning in therapy I had to write about the attack, and that took months, revisiting every sentence and connecting every sentence with my senses. So that was just awful. And then there was the idea, for those who've read the book, I hope a couple of people have, but like, how much do you include in a court case? And so I got all the court protocol, and I got all the interrogations from the Shabak, and it was hundreds and hundreds of pages, and just reading through the vile, barbaric, you know, these creatures, really, that also didn't make me feel so good. But then there were very light moments too, and people have told me they laughed out loud in the appropriate parts in the book. And I think that's a reflection. The funny parts are a reflection of Israel and Israel's, you know, for everything we go through here, there is a beautiful, untainted innocence about Israelis. You know, the clumsiness, the desire to help, nothing stops people. And sometimes that works out a little awkward, but it's always so terribly well-meaning. So on that level, on an emotional level, it was rewarding, it was hard. And then I had to be honest, I had to learn to write. I mean, I could write, but I'll credit Judy Labenson here, who I worked with for years. And I had to learn what an adjective was and why not to use them. Do you know what I mean? So it was difficult on all levels, but I'm so glad I did it, especially if it will help the stopping of funding of cold-blooded savages. That's my goal.
Well, I think it definitely came through in your novel, and it was very powerful. I knew that we have a few people here who would like to speak to you. The first one is Karma Feinstein Cohen from World to Root. Karma, can you come join me?
Thank you so much. Here I am.
Karma, Kay, Karma, you're both meeting for the first time today, correct?
Yeah, and I'm Maud. Nice to meet you, Karma.
Likewise, a pleasure and an honor. I did receive a picture of you on Friday morning holding a package.
Oh, yeah. I nearly dropped it, but I'm not supposed to say that, right? Sorry. Landed on the carpet. I'm pretty glad it landed on the carpet.
Nice. With the lockdown, it was very hard to get the award 2K, and Karma was absolutely fantastic and instrumental in making that happen. So thank you, Karma.
Thank you. My pleasure and honor.
So you did have the opportunity to read the book, The Rage Less Traveled, and you're going to share some thoughts with us.
I did, and I actually have you to thank for that. First of all, I want to thank you, Cheryl, and the Atlanta Israel Coalition for inviting me to take part in this unbelievable event and to have coaxed me into reading a book that otherwise would have been something that I would not have picked up, to be completely transparent and honest. I'm the daughter of two history teachers, Jewish history teachers, mind you. And the abundance of Jewish violence that I heard in my house was, the stories was enough to leave me, with a satiated appetite for Holocaust stories, etc. And I want to thank you, Cheryl, for introducing me, first of all, to Kay's story, who for me was a terrible news story as an Israeli, that unfortunately we see terrible things happen. But I was honored enough by you to be asked to read the book, and it was there on my Kindle, and I was reluctant to start. It was there for about a week, and Cheryl reaches out and says, Karma, did you start the book? The event's in about a month. I want you to start the book. Well, honestly, I picked up the book and could not put it down. And it was a fascinating book, and nothing prepared me for this. Nothing prepared me for this. The Rage Less Traveled is a story which isn't an easy read, but it's a very interesting read. It's compelling. And it took me on a journey. Kay, you took me on your journey, and I think that that's something immense. I could have never imagined somebody sharing with such intimacy, such a horror, to forgive me for the contradiction of words, but honestly, that's how I felt. And when you read things, and I'm a public speaker, I normally look for quotes from Jewish, Zionist leaders, Jewish leaders. I go back to the scriptures and I look for a good quote. And I wanted to say something meaningful, and nothing was, to be very honest, nothing was meaningful enough. Really, it wasn't. The only thing I found that spoke to me, and then I reached out to Cheryl again and I discussed this with her, was when you have no choice, mobilize the spirit of courage. That's a Jewish proverb. I couldn't find the source, but it seemed so empty. So I went back to Cheryl and I said, Cheryl, it means so much more to me. And then it hit me. The bravery, Kay, of what you went through, of that horror, is one step. And I think you mentioned it here. And the bravery of sitting down and writing it, that is what took me on a journey and was so powerful for me. And I want to thank you for I can't even imagine the pain that you endured writing it, and the insight that it gave me, the intimate writing of the pain and the fears and all the things that people don't want to read in books. They want an easy airplane book or something, that'll get them through. But I got so much from reading your book, and I think that the bravery is twofold. It's to go through that horror and then to sit down and share it with the world, to make the world a better place. And for that, I cannot thank you enough. And it changed me. Very few people, really, I don't say that, and Cheryl already knows me well enough. I'm not one to compliment, or it's not a compliment, it's my honest, transparent truth. Your book changed me. I served in the IDF, I've seen things, but to allow me to dive into your story is something that I was able to come and tell other people. You enabled me to share your story with other people and encourage them to read it as well. And first of all, I pray that there will never be any more victims, but unfortunately we know what happened. But you took a story of victimhood and made it into a story of courage. You turned your story into something which gives to others, and your courage is something I cannot thank you enough. And and thank you, Cheryl, for bringing me to this point. And we're going to be bringing your story to as many people as possible. And I think the fact that you're a tour guide is even an unbelievable added value, the gift of people. I would love to be on one of your tours anywhere, to be very honest. I would love to hear one of your tours, because public speaking and hadracha and guidance is something that I teach. So from the way I read you, I would so love to sit in one of your lectures or tours. And I really want to thank you both, and quite an honor. And I know that you've made a difference and changed the world. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Karma. That's really, I'll take every word to heart. That's very meaningful for me. And look, book a tour, you know what I mean? I'm not that busy at the moment.
Really? That's right. Of course, we're on
Everyone
lockdown.
on lockdown, yeah.
Of course.
Well, thank you, Karma. Thank you very much. And next we're going to hear from Duasadi Washington. He is the founder of Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel and also part of CUFI. Are you here with us?
I am, and I'm unmuted. Hello, everyone.
Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you, Cheryl?
Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Kay, as well. I'm honored to be here, and I want to thank the Atlanta Israel Coalition as well. I haven't had the opportunity, the pleasure of reading Kay's book just yet. I've been actually finishing a couple of projects and moving across the country, but I've known about the project since she first began to talk about it. We are friends, and we have been for a few years. I think we probably met on social media. The first time we actually were in the same room was in San Diego at a Stand With Us gala, I think it was. And it was our first time actually getting to physically talk face to face. Kay is an amazing individual, and I'm saying nice things to her. We kid each other quite a bit, so I'll finish saying mean things to her when we're done after today. But for the purposes now of the one of the most powerful stories, in my opinion, that I can tell about Kay, I can't really tell here because it's so personal to her, and she's it's amazing. She's both very open with her life, but has so many layers to her, and is so loving and protective of other people, that there's some things I couldn't share, but just it blows my mind. I've shared it. So I'm saying that to say this: I have in my lifetime never met someone with the courage and the resilience. When I think about Israel, my Israeli brothers and sisters, and the resilience that is the state of Israel, Kay embodies that on such a high level. To have gone through what she has gone through, but with her capacity continue to love and love everybody, different ethnic groups, different religions, it doesn't matter to Kay. And to just have seen people go through even a smaller level maybe of trauma, not in any way diminishing theirs, but maybe definitely not something on Kay's level, and unfortunately see the bitterness that would begin to envelop them. And understandably, right? They went through something very difficult. It was very painful. And then there's this tendency to shut off. And I've seen Kay in action, right? And she's one of the most transparent people I've ever met before. She's kind of always the same person, right? She doesn't put on airs. So her love and her concern for people is genuine. And she challenges you. That level of love and concern challenges us to be better, right? We challenges us to do better, to kind of take that to heart. So I'm so appreciative of her. We love her very much. And so in times I get a chance to kind of talk to her and send her a message that's not appropriate for her to share to everybody else, and she says things she's not supposed to say to me. We have this this relationship that lets me know that for Kay, she's concerned about you, right? She's not just saying something, but she's actually genuinely concerned about who you are and what's going on with you. And so I just love that about her. So she's just a real blessing to us. I'm here with this real quick. I also know she's a musician. The first time we actually did meet in San Diego, there was a group that was there that we sing with called the Hebrew Project. And there was a song that we did. She seemed to like it. She's usually honest, so I guess she was being honest at that time as well. And I wanted to just share just a little bit with you, Kay, just for a moment. We love you, Kay. Looking forward to seeing you in Israel soon, hopefully very, very soon.
Umisani, thank you. That was really precious. It was beautiful to hear you play as well. Afterwards, I just noticed you did like 8 bars before the end. You had like 4 chords, a nice jazz progression.
Yes.
So if you can text me what they were, that was very nice.
I will do that as soon as possible. Yes,
it was beautiful, really. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you. That was absolutely stunning, truly. I got tears from it. Our next wonderful speaker is someone we've actually had here at Atlanta Israel Coalition, and I absolutely am thrilled that she's back. And Raheel, are you with us?
Yes, I'm
Raheel Raza from Muslims Facing Tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to this very, very important event. And of course, it was after my first panel with you that Cheryl, you introduced me to Kay, and you introduced me to her book. So let me go back a bit. You know, in 2020, there were 2 major things that impacted my life. One was the coronavirus, and the other was Kay Wilson's book, The Rage Less Traveled. You know, the coronavirus I could deal with because it affected the entire globe. And we knew that eventually there would be a cure in sight. But Kay Wilson's story is another matter altogether. You know, whether there is ever a cure for hatred and violence is something that we're all working on. And we have to see what the results will be. And I'm sure with people like Kay's advocacy and all of you, we will look forward to some positive change. Now, I hadn't known about Kay's detailed story or the full horror of what Kay had faced until I received her book. And of course, it sat on my bedside for about a week before I picked it up. I wanted to give myself some time, and then I picked it up and I read it, and I couldn't put it down. I read it in one go, and I wept for Kay. I wept with Kay, and my heart still bleeds. You know, after reading the book, I finished reading the book and I came back to the first, I came back to the first page where Kay had inscribed a few kind words for me, and she ended by writing Allahu Akbar. the very words that were uttered when the murderous assailants were busy stabbing her friend Christine and attacking Kay. And these three words to me exemplify what Kay Wilson is, a child of God who believes that good can conquer evil. But these three words hit deep into my heart because I read through in the book, and of course the use of these words showed that the murderers were my co-religionists. And they were using a mutated, horrendous, violent understanding of my faith to perpetuate such horror on innocent people. And that's something that I have been fighting my entire adult life, and I will continue to work with people like Kay to make sure that this does not happen again. You know, I'm really glad that this award is called the Impact Award because anyone who reads Kay's story and her journey has to be impacted, which is why it needs to be circulated worldwide. I mean, I've told everyone that I know about it. This is a story that has a global impact. This is a story that impacts all of humanity. And Kay's courage is something that impacts all of humanity. But to simply say that Kay Wilson is a woman of courage is such an understatement. I mean, she is spectacular. She is a special human being who shows the true meaning of resilience, of resistance, of bravery. And as a writer myself, I'm so impressed with Kay's mastery over the language and her use of words. I mean, she writes beautifully, poignantly, with such depth that I was on the entire journey with her. And then, of course, she filters her writing with that wry sense of humor which only the British can have. And what a journey it was, or rather it is, because I don't think it ever ends. Kay, in her compassion, may forgive, but can she ever forget? Kay, you are having to relive the trauma every time you speak in public. And of course, that takes enormous amounts of strength. And sometimes we know that it's so much easier to just forget everything, put it behind you, let it be a closed door. But you haven't done that. You have allowed the world to step into your life, into your heart, and into your mind through your writing. And that is a very difficult thing to do. You know, at the start of chapter 10, Kay, you quote the cowardly lion as saying, I'll fight you with one paw tied behind my back. I'll fight you standing on one foot. I'll fight you with my eyes closed. Well, Kay, you have done that and so much more. I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it, Kay. You know, the fact that you gave testimony and faced your assailants is such a huge act of courage that few people can boast of. And I agree with the two previous speakers who say that it takes so much strength of character to do what you are doing now. I mean, to having lived through the trauma was God's miracle. But the fact that you are now doing the work that you do is it's just something absolutely unbelievable in a human being. And I am so impressed and amazed by the fact that you did not allow their hate to become your master. You did not allow their hate to be part of what you had set out to do. It would have been natural. It would have been if you had reverted to hate, it would have been so understandable because you had every right to feel that anger, to feel that frustration, to feel that hate, but you did not allow yourself to do that. And as someone who has worked in the area of radicalization of youth, I know that hate is the curriculum, hate is the menu that many kids are brought up with. And in order to tackle the problem at its root, the teaching of hate has to be eradicated. And you and I both know how difficult that is, because decades of brainwashing and radicalization creates monsters like the ones who brutally and heinously attacked UK and as well as your friend. So the fact that you with a Palestinian have created the Yellow Brick Road, which is absolutely an amazing name, as an educational counter-radicalization project that teaches children in a refugee camp emotional intelligence, empathy, and courage, is a monumental move in the right direction, because your emotional intelligence, your empathy, and your courage is something that everybody needs to learn from. What else can I say about you, Kay Wilson? On my first trip to Israel 13 years ago, and I've been back 13 times since then, I learned the meaning of the term tikkun ulam, repair, heal the world. And I embraced that concept wholly, because there's no other language that describes the work that you do, and you are doing just this. I am so honored to be part of this panel, and I'm here to support you and cheer you along. May God's blessings always be with you, and may the force keep you safe. Thank you.
Oh, you leave me speechless, Rahil. I'm so glad this is recorded, because you gave so much food for thought. And if I can single you out, if I may, it's very, obviously it's special that so many people come to say nice things. Whenever is that not nice? But the fact that you're a Muslim and you're a Muslim believer, and you're a courageous woman in of yourself, it's very meaningful for me that you would be here to represent your community. So I really, really thank you for that. And I hope we can work together in the future.
Yes, yes, that would be my hope as well, Kay. I'm always here for you. I want to be in touch with you, find ways to get your story out there, and do whatever needs to be done to
Inshallah.
to work against the hate. And truly, my heart is with you.
Thank you very much. Shukran ya habibti.
Thank you, Rahil. It's very meaningful. Appreciate you coming, speaking with us. Our next speaker is fantastic. He's from Artists for Israel. Craig Joshua, are you here with us?
I am.
Thank you for coming.
Oh,
We saw you for a moment.
you stopped my video.
I promise you I did not stop your video.
Oh, you see, I'm the problem.
Somebody could have stopped it, but it definitely was not me.
It's saying the host has stopped it. You see, I'm always the screw up. I promise it's saying because the host has stopped it. So
It's because you have tattoos, and this is like the audience.
Okay, apparently now she stopped my video, so you're going and I'm off. No, now we're both stopped.
I can change my profile picture rapidly and it'll be like a movie. Oh, I can start my video now. All right.
Okay, great.
Should I just start after that?
Yeah, just go ahead. It's all you.
Hey, I feel like that was the perfect entrance for our relationship, by the way. So a bunch of people have said nice things about you. I like to be different. I'm going to go a little different route, so just follow with me for a second. So Artists for Israel, which I run, we have a healing ink program. It's a tattoo program. We bring the world's most talented tattoo artists to Israel, and we cover the scars of terror survivors and IDF soldiers injured in battle. We've tattooed over 300 people so far, and who do you guess was by far the most memorable of those people? Clearly, it was Kay. Our very first mission to Israel, we brought our initial cohort of artists to Kay's house, and the first person who walked in just by chance was a guy named Steve Soto. So before I talk about Kay, I want to talk about Steve. Steve is 6 foot something. He's 350 to 400 pounds of just like ripped solid muscle. He got that muscle lifting weights in prison. He's got a shaved head that's covered in tattoos. I still have more tattoos than he does, but he looks more intimidating. And he's got this like scowl on his face. And the truth is he's a big teddy bear, but that wouldn't be apparent to most people. So Steve walks into Kay's house, the first one, and you'd expect that Kay would see this giant mountain of a man and be a little bit shooken up or something. But he's on his best behavior. He reaches out his hand for a handshake. He begins to say, "It's a pleasure to meet." And then all of a sudden, bam, Kay slaps his hand away. She reaches up and grabs his bullish head, stands on her tiptoes so she's eye to eye with him and says, "In this house, we hug. Don't ever make that mistake again." And that was my first introduction to Kay in person and all of the artists. So they had arrived on a flight that morning. They spent the day at the Dead Sea, and they did not see an actual wonder of the world until they met Kay. So we get situated in Kay's backyard, and she screams out, "Who here is tattooing me? I need to get that person nice and drunk." So my partner, being a smart ass, says, "In that case, we're all tattooing you." And Kay like kind of looks to the side and she goes, "You couldn't keep up." So then someone asks her a question as she tells her story. And she looks over at the newspaper reporter who was standing next to us. And again, with a little side look and smirk, she goes, "I'm sorry, but you're going to have to edit out this answer." And then a sailor's mouth full of curses and cigarette smoke, she answers the question. And of course, they can't use any of it because she's cursing. So she continues her story. It's the same story that everyone here has read in her book. If you haven't read it, that is sad for you. It's the same story she's shared 1,000 times. It's the same story of pain, of suffering, of betrayal, of fear, but also of hope and rebirth, redemption, and resurrection. And for me, who's heard it so often, you would expect it would become mundane, almost meaningless after hearing it over and over again. But I think that we can all agree that being mundane is never the case with Kay. And that applies whether you see her, whether you speak to her, or just reading this book. It's as if she's coming through and speaking to us directly. So there we are. Kay is speaking to us under a clear night sky in a foreign country to all of these artists, and not one of them was not crying. Their eye was not dry, neither their cheek or chin or shirt, because they're absolutely weeping. And it is the kind of cathartic power of crying that only happens so rarely in your life, and that I've never had happened in a book before until I read Kay's. So Kay had accosted a felon, outdrank a gang of partiers, humbled the Israeli media, brought the most jaded men and women to their knees, advocated for Israel in the most powerfully effective way I've seen, and she made the night stand still for everyone there. And that was the first 5 minutes of us being in her presence. So imagine what this woman has done over all these years, not just with her book or her appearances in court or her lobbying, but individually, one-on-one with so many people. Now, this is not new for Kay to be honored. She's been feted by every pro-Israel organization that has a brain in their collective head. She's been called a hero and a fighter. She is both. She's been called brilliant, witty, and one that lives her life her own way. Also all true. And what I've noticed is that all these well-deserved compliments always assume that Kay is this way since or because of the attack. And the truth is, this is just Kay. Her strength and beauty is she did not allow for something as simple as a near-death experience to change her. Still, in the first 5 minutes of meeting her, Kay tells my artist, I don't know if you remember this, Kay, I don't know if you're allowed to interrupt. The first thing she says to them, other than hugging is what we do in this house, is, quote, "Israel is a wonderful place to visit, give or take a machete attack." And that statement defines her in so many ways. She still sees the tragedy and recognizes what happened, but she seeks the good. So many would have lost their humor or their desire to change things, and Kay has strengthened both. And Kay, as a refugee from New York myself, I can tell you that my absolute favorite thing about you is that we are both fluent in sarcasm, and we do it with strange accents. So at this point, I'm writing my speech, and I'm telling my wife School about it, and she gives me a disapproving look because I had said something about Kay that wasn't 100% positive because I made a joke about what she said. My wife feels a very special connection to Kay, a protection over her. School, her name, when she worked for an organization with whom Kay was touring, she was her handler, as if anyone can handle Kay. It was a job she took seriously. We love Kay's work, her words and wonders. She rips into our hearts and rebuilds them stronger and more full of hope. But I'm going to tell everyone, it takes a toll on her, and she still does it. She does it for us because she believes in Israel's people and its protectors. My wife, School, and Kay both speak Hebrew, and they'd have long nights driving on the road together through the deserts from school to school, and there they created a deep bond. So Kay, I apologize ahead of time because I'm going to give away 3 things about you. I see that look on your face now, but I have insights that others don't. And I think people want to know more about you, so I'm going to share. So 1, Kay hates to see others get upset when she tells her stories, not just because of what she feels, but she has so much empathy and humanity in her that she doesn't want to cause others pain by sharing her words and what she's experienced. 2, and I find this shocking because I would probably be quite the opposite way, her love for Israel still beats in her chest stronger today than ever before. And 3, this to me is the embarrassing one. She is a huge fan of Shlomo Artzi. And for someone as supposedly tough as Kay, he is absolutely the most sentimental and sappy singer possible. It is telling, though, just how much art influenced her thoughts and actions. A for I's slogan is art over hate. And as we are all too aware, hate can take many forms, whether it's ideologically through words or intolerant speech, calls for BDS, or violently through terrorism and war, the type that Kay details stunningly in her book. Art can combat, solve, and heal for both these extremes. And the Kay is the epitome of this methodology. She has defeated the terrorists by standing resolute and leading the police and army to the shitholes in which they hid. More importantly, she has continued to use her music, her humor, the written word, and every platform she has offered to educate those confused of their feelings regarding Israel and to uplift those who love the land of the Jewish people. Kay is both Miriam playing her timbrels and Aaron and Moses guiding the way to a place of eventual peace. More than one person has said that if only everyone could hear Kay speak, the world would be a better place. So she's spoken. And when it became impossible for her to speak to everyone in the world, she wrote a book. And although nothing can ever recreate being in her backyard, this is one of the few books that comes with an airplane ticket attached, transporting you as close to Kay as anyone will ever be, without the chance to feel one of her hugs. And for those of us who don't want to read, we can close our eyes and listen to her music, because someone who has seen such depravity plays as if she's trying to bring humanity back on her own through the notes played by her cut and bruised hands. We hate the terrorists, but there is one thing we can say, is that they unleashed a storm, a fury of unimaginable strength that has decimated their numbers, raised armies in defense of Israel, and avenged blood with blood. Kay will live forever in those who hear and read her, and those who attack her have been erased from our memory. So many have been saved by Kay's actions, many enlightened and empowered by her words, and many more inspired by her deeds. They tried to take 2 lives, but all they did was give us one natural wonder in the form of a kind artist, and I hope a dear, dear friend.
Craig, don't know what to say. You're such a wordsmith. I felt, you know what? I felt like I was getting married and you're like the best man giving the speech. Really, thank you. And I just, let me tell people, of course, we're friends, we're great friends, but for the sake of people watching this, I got a tattoo with Craig, and I have it around my wrist. Most people know. Let me show you that. It's the Jewish prayer we say on waking in the morning. Modani lefenecha, melech chai v'kayam, shechzata bi nishmati, v'chemla rabba emunatecha. Meaning, I give thanks to you, O living and eternal King, that in your compassion you've restored my very breath. Great is your faithfulness. Amen. And I wanted Craig to find me an Arab young man to tattoo me with a Jewish prayer, and that's what's happened. And I just, to conclude with that, I got it on my right hand because I sleep like this, and I understood, and it's very fitting that your organization is Healing Inc., because despite all my losses, and there are many, I understood that one way to sanity, one way is to cultivate a grateful heart. So it's like the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. And that just to say, Craig, you've helped me to understand that no matter how bleak things are sometimes, there is always, always something to be thankful for. So thank you too for what you've done for me. And thank you for just such a beautifully crafted and funny and intimate speech. Thank you.
Oh, my honor.
Thank you, Craig. Next, we're going to hear from Alon Greenfield from Geffen Publishing. Alon, are you here with us?
Yes, I am. Good evening. You see me?
Yes, I do. Hi, welcome.
You hear me?
So great to see you.
Hello, shalom from Jerusalem.
Hello.
First of all, everybody spoke very beautifully. I want to start by showing the book that we're all talking about. And Kay did write this book, and she came to us to publish it. And I want to start by reading a couple of sentences from the beginning of the book and from the end of it. Because Kay starts the book with saying, if I were to list all the people who have held and still hold my hand to help me on my lifelong road to recovery, I sometimes feel there would not be enough paper in the world. Evil has not managed to make me cry, but the kindness that I've experienced from Jews, Muslims, Druze, and Christians has made me weep. You know who you are. I am thankful to each and every one of you. And that shows one side of Kay. The other side of Kay is in her epilogue. If you read her epilogue, she comes out very strongly and she says, since their arrest on December 20th, 2010, my assailants have received more than $70,000 each. Even as this book goes to press, the money is still pouring in. These salaries will soon be raised. They will each receive $3,410 per month. These financial rewards come from monies donated by foreign governments, including the government of the United Kingdom, of which I am a citizen. And I think that Kay, you know, we have in life, we have choices. Kay did not have a choice of being attacked. That happened to her. She had nothing to do with it. She was there and these villains tried to murder her. But Kay had a choice of what to make of it, what to do with it afterwards. And I think what Kay has done and is doing with her speeches and with her book is she's coming from two ends. She's saying on one hand, you have to be compassionate. On one hand, you have to understand, you have to work with Muslims, with Jews, with Christians, with everybody, with every human being. But on the other hand, you have to call evil, evil. And you cannot let the world go without any consequence. You cannot let the world go on and finance these murderers. It's not all Arabs, it's not all Muslims, but they are terrorists. And these terrorists must be condemned, must be put in jail, and should not get one penny for that. I think that her struggle against or opposite certain governments to try and make them stop giving this money to terrorists is a crucial battle. And hopefully the state of Israel and the other countries will continue and will understand that when evil is there, you cannot be nice to evil. You have to make sure that you take care and treat evil. And I think what Kay has done otherwise is she continues to show that nothing is going to kill her love and her compassion for other people around the world. When I got the manuscript, I heard of the story, I heard of the event in real time, as most Israelis did. And you have a lot of rage and you want to do something. And as a publisher, you think of, you read many manuscripts, many stories, and we've done books from right, from left, political, etc. And when I heard that she wrote the book and she actually published it by herself initially, I was very, I would say, frustrated that we didn't do it, because I thought it was a book that fits what we do at Geffen. We speak about what's good for Israel. We speak about what's good for the Jewish people. We speak about Tikkun Olam. And I think when I read the manuscript, on one hand, you have a lot of rage, a lot of anger. At the same time, you laugh through some of the parts of the book because Kay puts humor into it, into the worst condition, into the worst moment of her story, she puts in humor. I mean, the book that she bought as a gift to the parents, you say, oh my God, how can this happen? I won't tell you the whole story. I don't want to ruin the book for those who haven't read it. When she's in hospital and they say the name of the male nurse or the doctor, whoever it was, these things, they are so true and they're so funny that it's unbelievable that she could go and tell them. Because I think that it takes the courage, it takes the the determination to decide I'm going to tell my story, but not for people to hate other people. I'm going to tell my story in order to make people understand that we have a choice in life to make this world a better world by doing good things, even though there are terrorists and horrible people who want to murder the Jews. I'll end by saying a couple of things. We just, a few days ago, we celebrated the 27th of January, which is the International Remembrance Holocaust Day. And I think we, as Jews who live around the world, have to remember there are those who try to murder and annihilate us in every single generation. It takes people like Kay to take that situation, go forwards, and make sure that everybody loves Israel, that everybody knows what Israel stands for, with its morality, with its democracy, and yes, with all its problems. We take all its problems with love, because it's the only country we have as a Jewish state. What I want to try and ask all of you, those who haven't read the book, go on to Amazon and buy the book. Again, I'll show the book once again. Amazon is the best place to buy the book. You can buy it from us as well. When you buy the book and you read it, after you read it, go on and write a review, no matter what you think of it. I have no doubt of what you'll think of it. People should know of the story. People should hear of the story, not so we can sell more books, because it's a very, very important story that I think Kay deserves, that the world should know. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for the Atlanta Jewish community, the Atlanta Israel Coalition, for choosing Kay and giving her the award. I think she's definitely worthy of it. Thank you very much from Jerusalem.
Ilan, thank you. I'm honored that you even bothered publishing my book after every other major publisher had turned it down because I didn't mention the suffering of the poor Palestinians. So I'm glad to be working with you, you know, and that you're a true Zionist and we have nothing to be ashamed of, and we need to keep fighting and telling our true story against all the lies in the media. So really, thank you for taking it on.
Thank you.
And you stole my speech at the end. Do you know that? Everything you just said, I was going to say.
You're going to be okay. I know you
had something else planned, but everybody else said everything else, so I had to make up something.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do now? Give recipes? I mean, I don't know.
Thank you, Ilan. Appreciate you being here with us. Kay? Yeah,
I'm still here. I didn't go yet.
I appreciate that. I really do. So the Atlanta Israel Coalition Impact Award is more than just someone who has an impact. Clearly, from everyone who spoke, you definitely have an impact on people's lives, and your strength and courage is inspiring. But as a founder of the Atlanta Israel Coalition, our goal was stand together, get people out of those silos, unite. What we're saying is, together our voices are louder, we stand stronger, and our light shines brighter. And you have a light that just shines brighter than any light I've personally seen. And we're grateful that you share it with us. You're a true Zionist. Atlanta Coalition is proud Zionists. We want to take back that word. We think it's a beautiful word. And we are non-denominational, nonpartisan, for all ages and stages. We want to get the message out, not in an echo chamber, but a ripple effect. So we're very grateful that you have come on, and truly the most incredible speakers have been here sharing thoughts about you and your very powerful book. So we want to now invite everyone back, everyone who stayed. Is anyone else here?
They've all gone to the bar, I know.
All right. If anyone else is here, turn your camera on now.
You were so strict about us not turning it on accidentally. Now you're like, turn it on. You are really tough.
Well, welcoming you back. We're all going to present the award together because again, that's, the Atlanta Israel Coalition. We stand together and is it the three of us or is anyone else joined? I can't see. Oh, okay. Looks like just about everyone is here. Do you have the award that was sent to you? Thank you again, Karma, for your help with that.
Me?
Yes, you. Do you have the award we sent you? No, not that one.
Oh, I gotta contact the guy. It didn't look like it.
No, I got the real one. Hang on a minute. Seriously, I dropped it, but it fell on the carpet, so we're okay.
A little
It's
Scotch tape could help there.
Really beautiful, actually. Thank you so much. It's tasteful.
Could you please read what it says?
I have to turn it around. Oops. It says, Atlanta Israel Coalition, the AIC Impact Award, and then the Jewish Year, the secular year, presented to Kay Wilson for your powerful memoir, The Rage Less Traveled, a story of the resilience of the human spirit when tested to the limits, and the courage that inspires others to spread the light of Israel, and for your outstanding work as a peace activist fighting for human rights.
Thank you. I think it's very worthy, and I want to thank everyone for being here. You're all incredible, and Raheel said she's still here, but she needs her video on. Well, thank you for still being here. She's here with us.
Can I just conclude the evening with a couple of words of thanks?
We would love that.
All right. It's so great that I don't have to get on a plane or dress up. We should do this more often. But I am really, truly very, very appreciative. It's not flattery, but it means a lot. It's very empowering when you're recognized for something. And I want to say the impact. It's not like I'm some superwoman, but I really, really mean this. It's been one day at a time. And I want to really thank people. And I want to thank you, Cheryl, and AIC, and Lee, and Kirsten, and Tova, and Martin, and Renee, and Ravitz, and all the dedicated volunteers for what you've been doing over the last 2 years. Relentless standing up for Israel. I want to thank all these wonderful speakers today, who I've still to meet a couple of them, but people I truly admire and strengthened from. And also I want to thank, I would say my producer, but we won't do that. But the book had a genesis in trauma therapy. And I used to when I wanted to turn that first chapter about the attack just into a little booklet. So I'd be taking my trauma therapy without even thinking of writing a book. And so many people went over it. And Marsha Labar, I want to thank, and Maya, probably not here, Bonnie, Adrian, Sherry. And then, of course, when it turned into the book itself, I do want to thank Judy Labenson. I worked with her for 5 years. And also Miriam, who was a really brutal and necessary editor. And finally, I do want to thank a couple of organizations that I've been helped by, and they are helping me. And one is for other survivors of terrorism and bereaved families, and Mark and Chantal Belzberg, who work with One Family Together. They've been really amazing. And I want to thank also Itamar Marcus and Morris from Palestinian Media Watch. And this is exactly what Ilan was saying. On the one hand, we have to fight evil. We don't forgive evil. We have to hold these people accountable. And on the other hand, we show mercy to people who need mercy. And thanks to everyone and all of my friends who I haven't had the time to thank. I see some of you are a bit short-sighted, but I could just make out the blur on my screen that there's really dear people here that I love, and that people who've been so kind to me. And really, if I think about the Impact Award, I think it's a joint effort from everybody I mentioned and didn't have time to mention. So really, thank you so much. And Yashir Koach, keep up the good strength.
Thank you, Kay. And last but not least, we definitely would love to hear about your project. Anyone who's listening right now, if you want to send a contribution with a note to Kay directly, we will definitely be passing it on for her initiative. Okay, do you want to talk about Coffee with Friends?
Yeah, just very briefly, because I'm sure people want to go and watch Netflix or something, right? But I don't write this on the chat, anybody. I not celebrated, oh my goodness, commemorated 10 years of the attack last month. And I just realized, you know, in Israel, it's like Kay is a very rare name, and I'm recognizable. The attack for its barbarity and the way the prisoners were caught, you know, there was a movie made for Israeli TV and stuff like this. And so I'm quite recognizable by name, even though, you know, not quite so much by sight anymore. And so if I'd say my name, people would bring up the attack. All right. So this is to get to the point. Cheryl, I'm sorry, I have to like stand back. But I changed my name officially and legally because I just wanted that space in Israel where I'm not, where people aren't always dragging it up. You know, I want to choose when to speak about it. And that changing my name was like a renaissance. It was like, you know, Cinderella, where she's working hard as a slave, and then she, you know, and then she turns into a ball gown, and then she's in a pumpkin. She has all these identities. Probably that's a terrible metaphor for somebody like myself. I can not imagine myself in a ball gown, but you know what I mean. So I needed that disguise, a new identity, not forgetting who I am, but just some safe space, if you have it, to use a snowflake term. And it did me good. And then I realized that when people relate to me under my new name, they're relating to me beyond being a survivor of terrorism. You know, they want to know, hey, how's that piano coming on? It's like, wow, I missed that. For 10 years, I'd missed that. And then I've become a guide in Yad Vashem, because the Shoah is very, very heavy and important. Education in the Shoah is very important to me. And through the changing of my name, I had this idea that concerning people, the survivors who are, you know, they're dying out basically, but concerning the survivors who've dragged their trauma on, their unspeakable trauma for the last 70, 80 years. And they've told their stories and they need to bear witness. But I realized that they also needed, like myself, just a platform where they're related to outside of the survivor mode. So here, after that 6-minute introduction, this is where Coffee with Friends goes. So I was talking to another couple of colleagues from Yad Vashem. It's not a formal initiative of Yad Vashem, please note, it's my initiative. And I said, why don't we in the lockdown get a little Zoom chat together? We can invite people from all over the world. There's no limits. And we'll speak to a survivor, but we'll only relate to them as friends, meaning we want to know how they're doing in Corona, how are the grandkids. And we've had a few meetings. We make it very short, half an hour a week. It's just literally a virtual cup of coffee. And it's absolutely fantastic. And I've had them call me and they've said, this is like, they don't say the best thing since sliced bread, but they're very grateful for it. And it's absolutely marvelous. And it's a very small initiative and anybody's welcome to join. I don't know if you can put did you put the link on the WhatsApp group? It's a WhatsApp group and we do it. I send the Zoom link out once a week, but it's very healing for them. And they don't know my story. I'm not going to tell them. There's a lavdil from the Shoah and my story to separate, but it's just very healing for me as much as it is for them. And it's actually very, very funny. You just never know what's going to come out their mouth. A bit like me, I guess, but it's just, it's beautiful. So thank you for letting me have the opportunity to tell you what I'm up to. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. We'll have more information on it on our Facebook page and opportunities to sign up. Thank you, all you amazing people who've come out to speak. Thank you all. And
Shalom.
shalom. Thank you, everyone who came to join us.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate everything. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you being here.
Laila Tov, Shalom. Am Yisrael Chai.
I'm Yisrael Chai. To learn more about us, please go to our Facebook page. You can follow us on YouTube, where we have everything recorded and here for you. We started as Atlanta Israel Coalition because we were based in Atlanta, but now we've had the honor of being with you all over the world. And definitely want to thank you for coming out and joining us for our very first Impact Award. And I hope we see you again soon. Stay tuned for tours and other exciting things that we'll be coming up with. And couldn't do it without you. Thanks.